Look around you. Every person you see belongs to the same species. Homo sapiens. It feels completely normal. But for almost 300,000 years, it wasn't. Imagine walking through a forest and meeting another human. Not another person. Another human species. They look like us. They made tools. They hunted. They buried their dead. Some even created art. Yet today, every single one of them is gone. So here's the mystery. What happened to the other humans? And why are we the only ones left? If you traveled back in time around 300,000 years, Earth wouldn't belong to just one kind of human. Instead, it was home to an entire family. Powerful Neanderthals roamed Europe. The mysterious Denisovans lived across Asia. Tiny humans, known as Homo floresiensis, survived on a remote Indonesian island. In the Philippines, another species, Homo luzonensis, walked through dense tropical forests. Meanwhile, our own ancestors were spreading across Africa. For thousands of years, we weren't alone. The Earth was shared by multiple human species. And then, one by one, they disappeared. This wasn't like dinosaurs being wiped out by a giant asteroid. There was no single day, no massive explosion, no global disaster that instantly erased them. Instead, their disappearance happened over tens of thousands of years. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, leaving behind only broken bones, stone tools, and a mystery scientists are still trying to solve. Because if several human species once survived on Earth, why is there only one today? For decades, many people believe they already knew the answer. We killed them. Modern humans arrived, fought every other species, won, and took over the planet. It sounds like the perfect ending. Simple, brutal, easy to understand. But there's one problem. The evidence tells a much stranger story. Because the more scientists uncovered, the less that explanation made sense. In fact, the biggest clue wasn't found on a battlefield. It was hidden inside our own DNA. And what it revealed completely changed the story of human survival. For decades, scientists imagined one dramatic ending. Modern humans marched into Europe, met the Neanderthals, and wiped them out. It sounds like something straight out of a movie. But real history is almost never that simple. Because when archaeologists began uncovering more evidence, the story became far stranger than anyone expected. Around 50,000 years ago, Earth was unlike anything we know today. Europe belonged mostly to the powerful Neanderthals. Across Siberia and parts of Asia lived the mysterious Denisovans. On a tiny Indonesian island survived Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit, standing barely 1 meter tall. They had survived in isolation for thousands of years. Meanwhile, another recently discovered species, Homo luzonensis, lived deep inside the forests of what is now the Philippines, and spreading rapidly across Africa and the Middle East, were our own ancestors, Homo sapiens. For the first time in history, several different human species shared the same planet. Eventually, their worlds collided, but not in the way scientists once imagined, because one astonishing discovery completely changed everything. When researchers decoded ancient DNA, they found something impossible. Modern humans carry Neanderthal DNA. If your ancestors came from Europe or Asia, around 1 to 2% of your DNA came from Neanderthals. That means we didn't simply replace them. We met them. We lived beside them. And we had children together. The same thing happened with Denisovans. Today, people from places like Papua New Guinea and parts of Southeast Asia still carry Denisovan DNA. Even Tibetans inherited a remarkable gene from Denisovans, one that helps them survive at extremely high altitudes where oxygen is scarce. In a strange way, some of these ancient humans never truly disappeared. A small part of them is still alive inside us. So if they weren't all killed in war, what actually happened? Scientists now believe there wasn't one single reason. It was the perfect storm. The climate was changing dramatically. Massive ice sheets advanced across continents. Forests disappeared. Grasslands expanded. Entire ecosystems transformed. Animals that humans depended on moved or vanished completely. Every species faced the same brutal challenge: adapt or disappear. Neanderthals faced another problem. Their population was surprisingly small. Instead of millions, there may have been only a few thousand spread across an enormous continent. Imagine tiny village, separated by hundreds of kilometers. If one group disappeared, no one replaced them. Over thousands of years, small populations became even smaller. Families became isolated. Genetic diversity declined. Every harsh winter, every disease, every failed hunt pushed them closer to extinction. At the same time, our own species was changing, not necessarily becoming stronger, but becoming better connected. Modern humans built larger social networks, shared ideas over long distances, invented new tools faster, created better clothing, developed more efficient hunting techniques. Every generation inherited not only genes, but knowledge. Knowledge became our greatest survival tool, and that may have changed everything. But one enormous mystery still remains. If intelligence alone didn't save us, and strength didn't save them, then what was the one advantage that allowed Homo sapiens to outlive every other human species? The answer may have nothing to do with muscles or brains, and everything to do with something you use every single day. For years, scientists searched for the one thing that made Homo sapiens different. Were we stronger? Not really. Neanderthals were generally more muscular than us. Were we smarter? Not by much. In fact, Neanderthals had brains that were, on average, just as large as ours, sometimes even larger. So if it wasn't strength, and it wasn't raw intelligence, what was it? The answer may have been something almost impossible to see. Our ability to imagine things that didn't exist. Imagine you're planning a hunt. Instead of simply reacting to what you see, you imagine tomorrow. You imagine where the animals will go. You imagine different strategies. You tell stories. You warn others about dangers they haven't experienced. You pass knowledge from one generation to the next. That ability changes everything. Ideas begin to spread faster than genes ever could. Knowledge starts accumulating. Each generation doesn't have to start over. It begins where the last one left off. Archaeological evidence suggests that Homo sapiens built larger social networks than any other human species. Groups exchanged tools, shared food, traded rare materials across hundreds of kilometers. If one community faced disaster, others could help. No group stood completely alone. Neanderthals were highly capable survivors, but many lived in smaller, more isolated populations. Modern humans were building something far more powerful than better weapons. They were building connections. Think about your own life. Almost everything you know came from someone else. Language, cooking, farming, medicine, technology. You didn't invent them. You inherited them. That invisible chain of shared knowledge may have been humanity's greatest evolutionary advantage. Not one brilliant individual, but millions of minds working together across generations. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this story is that the other human species weren't failures. Neanderthals survived brutal ice age conditions for hundreds of thousands of years. They cared for injured family members, made sophisticated tools, created ornaments, buried their dead. The Denisovans adapted to environments we still struggle to survive in today. The tiny hobbits of Indonesia endured on isolated islands for thousands of years. Each species was remarkably successful. For a time, extinction doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes, it simply means another path lasted longer. Today, every person alive belongs to one species, Homo sapiens. But none of us are entirely alone. Tiny fragments of ancient humans still live inside our DNA. Every discovery reminds us. Our family tree wasn't a straight line. It was a forest. Branches grew. Branches crossed. Some disappeared. Others continued. And every one of them helped shape the people we are today. The greatest mystery was never why the other humans disappeared. The greater mystery is how incredibly unlikely our survival really was. If history had unfolded just a little differently, if the climate had changed another way, if one migration had failed, if one generation hadn't shared its knowledge, you might not be watching this video, because another kind of human could have been standing here instead. And somewhere, they might have been asking the exact same question. What happened to Homo sapiens?